Welcome
Or welcome back, depending on who you are, to the Collector Set.
Today we have a figure I've been looking forward to. From Beast Kingdom's Dynamic Action Hero line, we have Luke Hobbs. Luke Hobbs, of course, is a character from the Fast and Furious franchise, portrayed by Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. Like many of you, I am a fan of the Fast and Furious movies. No one will mistake them for high art, but they are goofy, over-the-top fun. Worse films have certainly been made. It's fairly surprising in this age of action figure plenty that a franchise this popular doesn't have a line of action figures. There are plenty of toy cars available, primarily from Jada Toys, and given the focus on vehicles and driving in this series, that makes plenty of sense. But for whatever reason, there just hasn't been a line of figures representing the characters. Maybe because all the characters are regular humans, or perhaps other Fast and Furious merchandise doesn't move large enough numbers. But with so many seemingly obscure properties having their characters cast in plastic, it seems a property like the Fast and Furious series would have had something by this point. All that is to say that I was beyond excited when this figure was solicited. It was odd, but understandable that Hobbs would be the first character introduced. Vin Diesel's Dom is who you would figure would come first, but I can see business math determining a figure of The Rock might have appeal outside of the Fast and Furious fans. So I pre-ordered this one right away. The idea of perhaps getting Vin Diesel, Jason Statham, and everyone else in action figure form, I just couldn't resist. Well, after months of waiting, we have the first of hopefully many figures in this series. Just taking an overall look at the figure, I'm pretty pleased with what we are presented with. The Dynamic Action Hero figures are in the 8-inch scale. Given that most of my collection is in the 6 or 7-inch scale, the size difference is immediately noticeable. The sculpt is less of a factor here, given that he's decked out in cloth goods, but the head sculpt is a decent likeness to the actor, and the look and details of those cloth goods are pretty great. Getting into more detail, we'll start by looking at what this figure comes with. Naturally, we have some weapons. First, what I believe is an M4 rifle with a couple of attachments. I don't know guns, so if I have the model wrong, you'll have to find some way to forgive me. It's nicely detailed and painted, the magazines are removable, and the stock extends. Next, there's his sidearm, which is a revolver. This one doesn't have any movable parts, but the sculpt is very good, as is the paintwork. The tactical vest just might be the star of the show. Tons of awesome detail, working snap buttons, a working zipper. I'm sure there are easier ways they could have achieved a decent enough look for this, but Beast Kingdom decided to do the thing thoroughly, and it's just fantastic. We have an assortment of hands. Now, here is maybe the first weak point in this figure. The hands and gloves have a nice enough look, but you can see seams all over them and the paint is a bit messy. Up close they look cheaper than the rest of the figure, and even a bit cartoony. Articulation is more or less what you would expect from a modded action figure. The visible joints are not very pretty. In certain positions, the neck joint shows some huge gaps, making the head appear to be floating. The elbows are just ugly. Most of the dynamic action hero figures have suits or costumes that pretty much cover their entire body, so I can see why there might not be as much of a focus on how these joints look. Pants are loose enough so as not to limit the leg movement too much, but do watch out and adjust for plumber's crack as you are posing. You've got split cut boots to allow for a decent enough range for the ankles. More on that in a moment. The overall aesthetic of the figure is good. The body is big and muscled and close enough to the Rock's actual physique. Not to belabor the point, but none of the joints on the arms look that great. We've talked about the hands, but a close look at the arms and neck peg, and the seams are just messy all over. This definitely feels like a body made to work under clothes. The head sculpt again is decent. How much it resembles The Rock kind of depends on the angle. Sometimes it actually looks like Floyd Mayweather Jr. to me. plenty of the outfit details are great. You may have noticed his wristwatch, which is removable. The belt, the badge, and holster, all done very well. The t-shirt and pants are straightforward, and they look great. Coming back to the boots. The detail and color are good, but overall I am not that thrilled with how these are done. I'm glad Beast Kingdom was thinking about movement here, but I feel it might have looked better if the lower part of the legs were entirely a sculpted boot piece with the ankle joints molded in black to match the boots. You can see how the right upper boot has to be adjusted so you don't see the ankle of the pants or the flesh-colored ankle joint. Furthermore, the angles of the bottom edges of the upper boot parts are different on each side, so they actually offer slightly different movement for each foot. And they don't really create the look of a whole boot. Next, let's take a look at Luke Hobbs next to some other action figures. I'm actually surprised at how he looks next to the Dynamic Action Heroes Wonder Woman. This is the only other Dynamic Action Hero figure I own. I would have thought there wouldn't be this much of a size difference. I know The Rock is probably a good half a foot or so taller than Gal Gadot, but it doesn't seem as if these two are quite in scale with each other. Here we have the McFarlane Toys Lobo. The McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line is in the 7-inch scale. The V-Toys Zero Body is a 6-inch scale action figure, about the size of a typical Marvel Legends figure. Finally, we have John Wick from Diamond Select Toys. This figure is the closest so far to matching Luke Hobbs' scale. What's the final verdict on this one? Well, there are definitely some things I don't care for. The unsightly joints, the less than stellar execution of the hands, and of course those boots. But I love the overall look of the figure. And for as much as some elements of the body are a letdown, the clothes and weapons, and especially the vest, are impressive. I can't say that I'm disappointed to have this figure on the shelves.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to our channel for more exciting toy videos.